This is specifically about what we're calling the MC Flex. You'll see the word next to it, microtransit. That's a common word in the industry. Right now, it's relatively new, up till about a year ago, and we've been at the forefront of trying to provide the best service to Medina County we can. So as Nicole was saying, we are going to be working to talk about microtransit in the three cities of Medina, Wadsworth, Medina City, and Brunswick. Now, we do run a countywide transit service that's demand, um, and a lot of you might know something about that. This tonight will be about the microflex in the three cities, but I'll answer any question you'd like at the end, she said. So you'll see one of our new vehicles there. We're branching out, trying to get some new vehicles to provide the service, and it's worked out quite well. Next slide. So I want to share our mission, and it's important for everybody to understand what Medina County Public Transit is all about. It is our mission to provide safe, reliable, and quality public transportation services to all residents of Medina County. When I say all, that's all inclusive. We want to provide mobility services, and you'll see in the graphics here, we go everywhere in the county, but specifically the cities, we're taking people to work from their homes, to hospitals, to restaurants, all different types of places in the county. So we're covering a lot of ground with our services. So I wanted to make sure everybody understood it was for everybody. It is a service that's been predominantly for passengers with disability and seniors, but what we're finding is a lot of people are now running to work on the services. Up to 32% of our service now is people actually going to work, which is exciting for us to provide, that bridge, that remove that barrier for people to go into work. We have a lot of people that travel on a daily, weekly basis to work on the service, but we're still, making sure that we provide the service we've always provided to seniors, to everything from social events to, medical events, appointments, things like that. So, okay, next slide. So I want to take a step back and talk about how we got to the point we're at now. About a year and a half ago, a large group, and I would say upwards of 50 or 60 people, ranging from everybody in the community, from local business owners to folks that lead a lot of the local agencies like Office for Older Adults, Veteran Services, Medina County, Board of Disabilities, joined together and started talking about what works for Medina County. So we had a consultant come in, and we did a transit strategic plan. And what we did, and this graphic shows, you'll see analysis of existing transit services. You'll see areas in the blue dots. Those were the dots that we were hitting. We wanted to see them plot out on a large map of Medina County, figure out where we provide that service currently. And then you'll see the areas in purple, and that's the common locations without what we called the old fixed route loops. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So you can see that we did a lot of legwork, analyzing data to try to figure out where are our spots that people want to go and want to get picked up from and go. So it really helped us to define what we're going to talk about in a minute. Going through the slides here, you'll see how this kind of evolved into what we have today as the micro transit MC Flex. Okay. So why microtransit? Now, this works in a couple of different ways. Microtransit is a way, and it really helps us define who's traveling. In other words, if you've ever ridden the traditional city bus route, you need to have a bus schedule in front of you. You need to stand at a bus stop. You need to be able to understand when the bus is coming, and you board the bus, and it has a predetermined destination map, so to speak. And then when you make your return trip back home again, for instance, you'd need to stand at that bus stop or a bus stop and return back. What microtransit is it's a flexible route, which means customers would call and we would book trips, basically without having to follow a traditional city bus schedule. It's very much like our demand route, if you know what that is, which is you're going to call ahead of time. and you're going to tell the reservationist, I want to go from this exact location to this exact location at a designated pickup time and drop off time. And you'll see that this allowed us to know our ridership, be flexible, and provide more service. In the slides, you'll see increased ridership. It increases our capacity. We really, without a bus running on a route, not knowing if someone's going to be at a destination, now we know who wants to go and where and what time. So we're not driving what we call unnecessary routes. They call it, it just doesn't serve a purpose to drive a bus without people riding the bus. So we wanted to maximize, so we increased ridership and we improved our service capacity. And I'm going to go over that and tell you more about how that works. It also, the great things that it helped us reduce vehicle miles. Now, you can well imagine a vehicle that travels 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our vehicles, we need to make them last. We need to make them, the best, maintenance wise. So we reduce vehicle miles by only running what we call necessary miles or revenue miles. This also resulted in less passenger travel time. So someone would have to ride that traditional city bus schedule, especially if they're getting on, they need to ride what we call the loop all the way around, which could lead to, a 45, 50-minute travel time to their destination. Now they're getting more direct service because we're not driving those unnecessary predetermined route map. Okay. Some of the things that, behind the scenes that really was exciting was lower vehicle fuel usage. We lowered our fuel usage dramatically just by running the Wadsworth MC Flex last year, and for half the year and I'm going to talk about it, Medina. We really made an impact on our fuel, which you can imagine cost of fuel right now is a major concern to make sure that we can provide the most service in the most efficient way. So it reduced our vehicle fuel usage as well. So why microtransit? All good news. Increased ridership, improve service capacity, reduce miles, less passenger travel time, which we heard a lot of good feedback around that, and lower vehicle fuel usage. So next slide. So here's we have, and it's the Wadsworth MC Flex. This was our first, we ventured out. We called it a pilot way back when a year ago, and we said, we're going to try this. So what we did, and you can see the map there, and it's got, so it looks kind of an odd, a differently shaped map. And it was based on that map I showed you before of where we wanted to touch those blue dots in those purple areas. So we really drew the map in a way that we took some time, and we said, these are the areas we want to cover on the MC Flex in Wadsworth. So as you know, you can see some of the landmarks there, and the regular bus route that ran around Wadsworth was going to about 12 or 14 bus stops. Well, I can tell you, because I rode the bus for a couple of months on several occasions, I saw that there were destinations that nobody really went to. So I thought, that's interesting. If no one's going there, why are we going there? So we're picking up a group and they want to go, for instance, to the Walmart. Why are we not just taking them directly to the Walmart, not actually asking them to ride around the loop with nobody going there? It just seemed like an inefficient way to do it. So what we did was we created this map, and I want you to imagine that everywhere in that green shaded area is a bus stop. Everywhere. So we eliminated the city bus route, traditional city bus route, and we had one bus running in Wadsworth. And what we did is we put a second bus down there. We found some ways to make that happen. We have two buses running on the Wadsworth Flex, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I can tell you that we doubled ridership. Now that's exciting. We doubled ridership just by allowing the flexibility for the drivers and the passengers with all the good things, as I mentioned, that came along. Reduce travel time for the passenger. We save miles. The drivers are only driving to the destinations where people are going. So everywhere in there, in that map, in that green shaded area, is what we call the Wadsworth Flex. And I'll go into some of the fares and that sort of thing and how you do it in a minute. So next slide. This is the Medina City Flex. Now, this looks a little bit more square, but we wanted to cover a larger area, and that runs 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. So we have some landmarks on there as well, and you could see back to the premise that everywhere is a bus stop. We really expanded that area. It's our largest MC Flex area. It's a large footprint. We have 3 buses running in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So we're covering a lot of ground, and you'll see that little leg off to the right there. That was the former 18 Express. Now, we do provide service to Akron, linking up at Rothrock Road over by the in Montrose, over in front of the I think it's the Home Depot. So on call now, we don't go out there unless there's somebody there, which is another way to save fuel and time and provide the best service. We maximize the fleet, and we really provide a lot of service in Medina in that area. So we're covering all that area. So keep in mind, everywhere in that area is now a bus stop. So somebody can go from inside that zone to inside that zone on an MC Flex route. Next slide. And this is just on with Brunswick. Brunswick is Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It looks a little different too, but we're working to make sure it's just a new service that we started in February of this year. We've gotten some requests to kind of make this map a little bit more square to cover more area, but it's working right now too. We really feel that this is just building momentum. I met with several city councils, spoke to city council in Wadsworth and gave a presentation in Medina, and most recently Brunswick. And they're excited to see that we're becoming more efficient and providing more service. And each one of these services, we've gained 40 to 50% ridership on these routes. So a bus that was running around traditionally on that traditional city bus schedule, we basically doubled or tripled some of the capacity on, and sometimes of the day on those routes. So we're really excited about this. It is nice to see that we can be flexible and efficient, and we're leveraging technology to do that. I'll answer any questions about the technology. That's done in the background, but it mainly schedules passengers as they call by their appointments in the most efficient way on what I call a shared ride service. So it's not a direct service individually. You're going to pick up people on the way to your destination or drop off people on your way to your destination. But our software and we have a great staff, and I can't brag about them. I'll brag about them at the end, that make sure that we listen to what the customers need and get the passengers where they want to go on time without trouble. Next slide. So let's talk about how to ride. I put this slide together, and this is a little bit of information. There's more. And I'm going to ask you if you have any questions around it. I might say to call our office, because we have a great staff that'll help you through and facilitate your booking and help you become a client, passenger riding with us. But how to ride in Wadsworth, Medina City, and Brunswick. You schedule trips by calling that number. And that's just our general number, and we can publish that out. Now, this is the fun part about this. Up to 7 days in advance, you can call to ride the MC Flex up to 7 days in advance. And we encourage you to call as soon as you know, but it's a minimum of 2 hours in advance. So for instance, if you realize at 8 o'clock in the morning, I want to go to the grocery store at noon, you call up, we'll set up a trip. We'll give you a pickup time, a window we call it, a 20-minute window time, and then we're going to pick you up at your front door. You don't have to walk to a bus stop, and then we're going to take you to wherever you want to go. Think back, the traditional city bus schedule would only go to certain places. The MC Flex will go exactly where you want to go. So if you want to go to a different grocery store that wasn't on a route, we'll take you right to the front door or restaurant or whatever you're going to, social event. Now the MC Flex fares are $1.50. One way, 75 cents for those that qualify, reduced passengers with disability with qualifying, and that's through my staff that'll help you with that. And that works out, or an all-day pass of $4. We also sell what I've put together is called the monthly MC Flex Pass. Now that's $46. Now that's unlimited on the MC Flex routes anywhere, all 3, for $46 a month. And that's quite a savings. That's actually a week free if you ride every day, Monday through Friday, if you do the math. So, and it's $23 for those that qualify, passengers with disability that qualify, and seniors over the age of 65. So For $23, a senior can ride unlimited on our routes Monday through Friday and have the service they need. So we're really trying to provide the best service at the most value. Okay. That's what I have. I'll open it up for questions, and then I'll wrap up with a little bit of information that will help you be able to call our staff and see if this works for you or if you want to try it. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks so much, Shannon. If anybody has any questions, please, like I said, you can put them in the Q&A, or you can use that little raise hand feature, and I will unmute you and you can ask. I do have a question. Say, and I do see somebody's raising their hand. Say you live in Brunswick and I call and schedule a ride. Can I only go to other locations in Brunswick, or am I able to go to a location in Medina?
Okay, that's a great question. Our MC Flex routes are destinations within those zones. Outside of those zones, we call that demand service. That's countywide demand. So you can travel from one zone to another, or outside of the zones to outside of the zones, or outside of the zone to into the zone. In other words, it's countywide demand. That's up to 14 days in advance, minimum 1 day in advance. And that's $4 for a full-time. That's what each trip. And it's obviously it's $2 for those that qualify. So we do have demand services up to 14 days in advance, but you need to call at least minimum the day before, then and we can provide service anywhere in the county.
Great.
That's our second type of service. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to, let's see, Laura has her hand up here. Okay, Laura, if you want to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question.
For Wadsworth, the times are 9 to 4. Are those hours limited compared to Medina and Brunswick just because the demand hasn't been there? And it's a two-part question. And if that's the case, as the demand goes up, will those hours extend?
That's a great question. We thank you. We worked with the city council and city management. That was the original hours of their fixed route service, their traditional city bus schedule. It can expand. We've gone with that because that's what we had started with. But a year in, I think that's a good suggestion to look at it. But you're right when you say that's what the demand calls for. Most everything starts about 9 o'clock. Now, I can't say they're going to want to do that. There's some funding involved in that, budgetary things that we're looking at with them, but we can partner with them, and I'll take that feedback. If I think the need may be there on certain days of the week, but not every day. We did explore some of the things earlier in the morning, but we felt like things started rolling about 9 o'clock and it worked. But at this time, that's what they're looking for. They're excited about it because we went from 1 bus to 2 buses, and that was, to be honest with you, a little bit of a leap to go to 2 buses. What we felt, we wanted to give it a good go. But yeah, I think it's just what it calls for right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. Looks like in the chat we have, can you confirm the window waiting period again? Is it 20 minutes before and 20 minutes after your pickup time, or 20 minutes total?
Good. What it is, it's a 20-minute total window, and we'll give you that window, for instance, an 8:50 to 9:10, for instance, and we wait for 5 minutes once we pull up. That's a standard of the industry, just trying to make sure that we can allow for traffic and folks can be ready to go. But if you're 8:50 to 9:10, we ask you to be ready at 8:50, and that bus could come anywhere in that window. Now, most of the time, with what we're doing, the drivers are starting to get there at the beginning of the window. So because they want to make up that time, they want to have enough time for the next client. It does happen that it pushes out to the middle of the window, and then sometimes traffic puts it towards the end. But I can tell you that's a 20-minute window. We wait 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, next question is, what are the hours of operation and which days of the week for MC Flex?
Okay. The MC Flex, we're on the maps there. It's 9 to 4 for Wadsworth, 6 to 6 for Brunswick and Medina City. And that's our major service. That's, we have a general service. Our demand service is 6 to 6. So that's our hours of operation currently. And as the need grows, I work very diligently to see if the community needs more. I think there is some possibility for it later on in the evening, although that is seems to be a seasonal thing. It's strange. Sometimes in the summer, people imagine that they want to be out in the evening, and then when do they want to get home? So we're looking at some of that, but right now 6 to 6 for the, like I said, for the total demand service, 6 to 6 for Brunswick and Medina City, and 9 to 4 for Wadsworth.
Great.
Yeah.
Next question is, how does it work when going to a restaurant? You're dropped off, you don't know how long a meal will take. How do you get taken back home?
Brilliant. Well, we have a no strand policy I put in place. We don't want to leave anybody. So feel comforted in that. I heard a lot of feedback when I first got here. But what we do is we basically say that we'll schedule you what you want. When you call and schedule, you're going to schedule your trip going, and then you're going to schedule your trip back. Now, if you are not ready to go a couple minutes, and you call and say, I'm going to be 20 more minutes, then our dispatchers are very talented. And this is where the flexibility comes in. They can reorder that driver's manifest and then move you maybe down a little bit and give you a little bit more time. Or this is the difficult part. Some people want to get picked up earlier. That's a little tougher because the driver may have time to do that or a cancellation. But we've had people call and say, hey, I'm ready 30 minutes earlier. Can the driver get me if they're ready? And the driver says, yeah, and the dispatcher moves that person up. Now, that's not always possible. I don't want everybody to think that we're completely on call, but we make modifications throughout the day. And I really give my staff pardon the pun, the wheel. I want them to make those decisions. They understand the clients, they understand, and I really give them some latitude to do that. And it's always customer service first. We'll do what we can as long as we don't inconvenience somebody else. The drivers remain flexible.
Great. Looks like we have a few more here. If you set up to be picked up from home and dropped off at work, and then picked up from work and dropped off at home daily, Monday through Friday, do you need to call each week to set up for the next week, or can you just have an ongoing pickup and drop schedule set up?
I get that question a lot, and they call it in the transit, they call it a subscription. I will tell you that I would love to have more predictability, and this is not, and this is some of the things I was going to wrap up, and I'll just mention it. We have 23 revenue vehicles, and we run 18 routes a day. We're covering 422 square miles with our service, and we provide about 75,000 trips a year. So we do a lot with what we have. I will tell you, subscriptions, the industry doesn't like you to have more than 40 or 50% subscriptions. We're trying to keep the subscriptions down for more flexibility because, and this is what happens. Somebody will book a subscription trip, and maybe that prevents 2 other people from riding because it kind of locks it in. And our reservationists, when you call, they may adjust your time. In other words, a subscription might be that 8:50 to 9:10 Monday through Friday. But if we allow you to call each week, which I'm asking everybody to do right now until we figure out how we're going to provide more service to more people because it's growing, we want to be able to say, well, sometimes that window might move back a little bit. It might move up a little bit based on somebody else that calls because, and this is the other thing is, there's some statistics and I'll share that, but I'll jump into that a little bit to answer this question specifically. We had a monthly average of 47, what I call, and I don't like these things because I really want to help everybody. I call it trip denial. We averaged 47 a month, which means 47 people times in that month, 47 times we couldn't honor that. We couldn't get them on the bus. It's just, we had to say no, which I don't want to say no. In August of 23, we had 101. That was our highest month, 101 trip denials in a month. We've gotten it down to 2. So, and it's usually, it's tend to be 0 because we're very flexible. So I'm answering that question by saying, I'm asking everybody to call on a weekly basis. That way we can adjust that window time and fit everybody in because we feel that if we remain flexible, the trip denials into saying no to people is what I don't like doing that. So if that helps.
Great. Couple more
Maybe that's not what
questions.
you wanted to hear. I apologize.
Okay, next question. I work with families. Do you see a lot of moms and kids, or families riding the transit now? And then also, what are kids going to need to ride the transit? Will they need a car seat, sit on the parent's lap, etc.?
We do have families ride. There's a couple of people, moms that ride with a number of kids on the bus. We do ask for a car seat as appropriate that's in a car. Same rules. I think it would be great to see, us having that before they try to get on the bus. But yes, they'll need to have those car seats ready to ride safely on the vehicles. Under 12 ride for free, just to let you know. Kids should be at least 12 to ride. But yeah, that we're seeing a lot of that. Moms taking their kids to daycare and going on to work. It's happening in Brunswick right now.
Next question is, does the Rides on Demand app noted in your brochure, is it just for scheduling or does it actually track the location of the transit van?
I didn't get into the app tonight, and I'll touch on it a little bit. Excuse me. If you've ever ridden Uber and you've ever tried to book an Uber ride, we have an app. We launched it, and it's working for probably about 7 or 8% of our service, the people that ride. But it is a fully functional app where you can book your pickup and destination on the MC Flex only. Okay. And if you look at the app, and I'll share it, I'll get you the information later and you can push it out to the people that need it. But I would encourage, and I hold it back a little bit, and I'll tell you why. I feel it best that people call and talk to the reservationist so they can explain how the app works. I wouldn't say the first time you ride with us, you use the app. It may be a call and then you transition into the app. But the app is fully functional to book your trip. It goes to the technology, the tablet on the bus for the driver, and they do the pickup and drop off based on what you're choosing in there. Now, is the app perfect? No. There's a couple reasons. One is we're still modifying the app and making it more precise to what we can actually accomplish. Sometimes it won't give you a solution and people get frustrated. I don't want that. So I really would like, the other thing is, we actually need more service. We need more vehicles at certain times of the day. I can tell you, I watch the peaks and valleys of the day. There's 3 times of the day that we could actually use 4 more buses on our service. I don't have that. Maybe someday. So I don't want a frustration to lie in with people trying to use the app, because sometimes the reservations can find a solution and the app won't give it. Not because the person's doing anything wrong or anybody's doing anything wrong. It's just the reservationists are trained to look at the trips and see where people fit the best. Maybe that app wouldn't give that solution. It might, but it might not. So the app is fully functional. I love it. Some people really love it and they've gotten used to using it, but sometimes it's best that people transition, but try the phone call first. That helped?
Okay. This next question is, has there been any feedback or discussions on using Flex for the weekends? That's the largest barrier to gaining community employment for many individuals that we work with.
Yeah, that's a good one. I discussed this at the commissioners meeting recently about and with the commissioners and my leadership administration, evaluating Saturday service. Our Saturday service really hasn't been that much. I ran the numbers. We're only providing service to about 15 to 17 people on an average monthly basis on the weekends. And that's really not that many. I mean, they're taking trips. And that's not every month. It sometimes dropped down to only 10 people in the whole month that use Saturday service. Now, that could be for a couple of reasons. One, maybe it needs to be more flexible. Yes. 2, it may not be the demand out there because people, and you're right about the work, but some people aren't going to medical events on Saturday. So medical appointments and other things. So I'm evaluating Saturday. It will take some resource designation because we'd have limited resource on Saturday. It's always been a minimal service. It is probably the next thing once we get everything running with the app, running everything with the and getting Brunswick evened out, meeting with a lot of people up there. I think Saturday will be the next, the next thing to conquer. I appreciate the feedback, but I don't know if we can do a lot more with the resources we have, but we can do what we can do.
Looks like we have one more question. If the need is for getting to work, is it better to use the demand service so you don't have a possible denial issue, or can you get denied with the demand also?
I think with our capacity now, keep in mind, the reservationists know if you're riding in a flex zone, they're going to put you on a flex route. If you're riding, again, countywide or outside of those zones, that'll be a demand price. So it really dictates on what your pickup and destinations are. You actually have a little bit of opportunity, and this is what I'm finding as I'm analyzing a lot of this, and I run numbers all day long. The trips on a demand route are across the county are averaging 8, 9, 10 miles. A flex route is like 3/4 of a mile on an average. So you have a better chance of getting more people on and off the bus on a flex. So you have a better chance of getting service. So it's an analytical thing and different times of the day, and it has to do with what time the person's traveling. If we have availability, if they're traveling from Lodi to Brunswick at 7 a.m., that's a tough call. That's a really tough call. But if someone's going from Medina to Seville at 10 o'clock, probably a doable thing. So it just really depends based on availability, but the team works very hard, and we're working to try to put enough service out there and figure out that we don't have any trip denials. But it really, asking for a demand route won't get you a demand route if it's in the flex. If that makes sense.
Okay. All right, well, it looks like that is the last question I see here. So I just have a few remarks to wrap things up. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to submit those while I'm talking. So I just want to thank Shannon for taking the time this evening to present on this important information for individuals and families. So thank you very much. And I just want to thank everybody for attending this evening. And let's see, slides here.
Thank
Okay.
you, Greg, for the positive feedback. I appreciate that.
So this is a QR code for our presentation and event survey. If you're not already on your phone and using your phone, you can certainly fill that out now, and this will also be sent in a follow-up email to all participants. And if you can, whenever you receive that or have a moment, if you could take a few moments to complete the survey, it really helps us guide planning in the future for any future trainings and presentations. So that's very helpful to us. And then just a couple of things to share. Upcoming events for March, the MUI stakeholder meeting, and there's a training as well for providers on MUI is coming up on Thursday, March 21st from 1 to 3 p.m. And that's going to be offered both virtually and in person. And then additionally, if you're a provider, we have a provider and SSA mingle that will be at the end of March on the 27th at the Achievement Center from 10 to 11:30. And then a couple things I also wanted to mention. Leadership Academy applications are due by March 1st. Those are out right now. The MCBDD Leadership Academy is a 6-month training opportunity for people with developmental disabilities to learn and develop important leadership and advocacy skills to help become more involved in leadership roles in the community. So if you or a family member are interested in participating or learning more, you can visit our website at mcbdd.org. And I believe that's under the advocacy tab, or you can shoot me an email and I can send you the application for that. It's a great program. This will be our 2nd year of offering it. And then also just wanted to mention, if you are a provider serving individuals in Medina County, we now are offering crisis prevention training. And again, that's available for anybody serving individuals in Medina County. And you can find more information about that on our provider site. Okay, so let me just double check. Okay, looks like we have one more question. Couple people said thank you. That's nice. Is there a way to find out what the tough times and locations are? I work with placing people in employment, and transportation is a huge barrier. Maybe knowing those, it could help when looking at jobs for those people.
Yeah, I'm going to point everybody to call that number that's in the slides. You can talk to one of the reservations or one of my supervisors, and they'll help you through that. I think that's the best way. And probably there's a lot of scenarios, and I think that would be the best way.
And am I able to send out these slides following the presentation? And okay, perfect.
Yeah, the phone number is in the slide there. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Great.
You can read off the number if you want to everybody. You want to go back to it, and you can write it,
Yep.
whatever you feel. Yeah.
There we go. That 330-723-9670.
Right. The brochure on the right, we do have the brochures for each of the Medina County flexes. We can send out brochures, which will give more information on how to ride, and I can get those out to you if you'd like, or send the PDFs and you can fold them and print them and fold them if you want to get them to some people. It might help as well.
Great. Okay, well, I think that is all we have. So thank you again, Shannon. We appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of the evening, and take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.